Nearly 2,000 years ago, a Roman writer sat down to answer a letter from a worried friend. His friend, a younger man named Lucilius, was tormented by fears about the future, and the reply this writer sent back was so precise, so clinical, that if you read it today, you would swear it came from a modern therapist's notebook. The writer was Seneca. The letter was the 13th he ever sent, and in it, he diagnosed the single most destructive habit of the human mind. He wrote, "There are more things, Lucilius, likely to frighten us than there are to crush us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Read that again. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca had no brain scans, no clinical trials, no word for anxiety as we use it. But he had noticed something it would take psychology 2 millennia to confirm. Most of what tortures you never actually happens. Think about your own last sleepless night. The conversation you rehearsed 40 times that went nowhere near how you imagined. The diagnosis you were sure was coming. The email you were terrified to open that turned out to be nothing. Your body poured out the full chemistry of dread. Your heart raced. Your stomach knotted for an event that existed only inside your skull. This is the problem Seneca saw with terrifying clarity. The mind does not distinguish well between a real threat and a vividly imagined one. So we end up paying the price of a catastrophe over and over in advance for catastrophes that mostly never arrive. But here is what almost no one tells you about anxiety, and it is the reason most advice makes it worse. We treat worry as if it were useful, as if running through every disaster prepares us for it, as if the person lying awake at 3 in the morning is somehow being responsible. We even feel guilty when we stop worrying, as though our vigilance is the only thing holding the danger back. Modern life turns this dial to maximum. Every headline is engineered to frighten you. Every feed shows 1,000 things that could go wrong. You are the most physically safe human being who has ever lived. Statistically safer than any Roman ever dreamed of being. And yet your nervous system burns through each day as if a lion were waiting around every corner. The lion is imaginary. The exhaustion is real. So Seneca did not offer comfort. He offered a method, and his first technique is the one that quietly built modern therapy. He told Lucilius, "What I advise you to do is not to be unhappy before the crisis comes, since it may be that the dangers before which you paled as if they were threatening you will never come upon you. They certainly have not yet come." Sit with that last line. They certainly have not yet come. This is the first technique, and it is almost embarrassingly simple. When fear grips you, drag your attention out of the imagined future and back into the literal present. Ask one question. Is this thing I dread happening right now? In this actual moment? Not could it? Not might it? Is it right now? Almost always, the honest answer is no. Right now, you are in a room. Right now, you are breathing. The disaster lives in a future that does not exist yet and may never exist at all. Seneca is not telling you to be naive. He is telling you to stop being crushed by a weight that has not been placed on you. You are paying a tax on a loss you have not suffered. The second technique is where Seneca sounds less like a philosopher and more like a surgeon cutting straight to the cause. He wrote, "Some things torment us more than they ought. Some torment us before they ought, and some torment us when they ought not to torment us at all." We are in the habit of exaggerating, or imagining, or anticipating sorrow. In one sentence, Seneca named 3 separate errors. We exaggerate, making things bigger than they are. We anticipate, suffering before the time has come. And we imagine, inventing pain that has no basis at all. So the second technique is to interrogate your fear and ask which of the 3 you are doing. Are you exaggerating? Then shrink it back to its true size. What is the actual worst realistic case? Stated plainly, without the music swelling behind it? Are you anticipating? Then notice the suffering has arrived early, before any reason for it exists, and send it back. Are you purely imagining? Then recognize there is no event here at all, only a story your mind wrote and then forgot it was the author. Naming which trap you are in robs the fear of its disguise. It can no longer pretend to be wisdom. The third technique is the hardest and the most freeing. It is not about avoiding the worst case. It is about walking straight into it. Seneca knew you cannot simply order yourself to stop being afraid. So instead of fleeing the fear, he taught Lucilius to turn and face it fully. Picture the thing you dread. Follow it all the way down. You lose the job, you lose the relationship, you lose the money. Then keep going past the moment of impact. What happens the next morning? You get up, you adapt. You find that humans have survived this exact loss 1 billion times before you and built new lives on the other side of it. This is the technique therapists now call decatastrophizing, and Seneca was running it in the 1st century. When you let the imagined disaster finish its story, instead of freezing it at the worst frame, 2 things happen. You see that you would endure it, and you see how unlikely it was to begin with. The fear shrinks, 'cause you have measured it instead of fleeing from it. The forge does not destroy the iron, it shapes it. Put the 3 together, and you have something remarkable. A complete toolkit for the anxious mind, written by hand on a scroll before the idea of psychology even existed. First, return to the present and ask whether the dread is happening now. Second, name the trap, whether you are exaggerating, anticipating, or imagining. Third, follow the fear all the way to the end and discover you would survive it. Seneca's promise to Lucilius was not that bad. Things would never come. It was that you could stop dying 1,000 deaths for the one that may never arrive. Seneca lived an extraordinarily difficult life. He was exiled, sick for years with what he believed was a fatal illness, and finally ordered to take his own life by an emperor he had once tutored. He had every reason to be a frightened man, and yet he wrote calmly that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, because he had tested that idea against the worst that life can do and found it held. That is the real lesson here. You will not eliminate fear, and you are not supposed to. But you can stop letting your imagination collect a debt that reality has not yet asked for. The next time your mind starts building a disaster, remember Seneca's quiet question across 2,000 years. It certainly has not yet come. If this was useful, subscribe, because one Stoic idea a week genuinely changes how you think. And in the next video, we look at why the Stoics refused to be offended, and how a man born into slavery learned that no insult can touch you without your permission.